looking at you, kid.
I'm Charles Foster Kane!
Hey, Stella!
Suck on this.
What is happening, everybody? James Hancock here. Today we have a very special treat because we're joined by legendary animator Bill Plympton to discuss the Blu-ray releases of his classic movies, I Married a Strange Person and Mutant Aliens. And I should add, Bill Plympton designed the logo for Wrong Reel, which you just saw.
Yes,
in the
and you're still using it. I'm so happy to see it.
Absolutely.
It looks pretty good, actually, I must
Totally.
say.
But joining us is Adam Rackoff, who's been working with Bill as a producer for many years, and we're just going to pick Bill's brain about his work. And I should also add that courtesy of the fine folks at Deaf Crocodile, Dennis Bartok and Craig Rogers, I Married a Strange Person is already available on their website, which I'll link in the description below. And Mutant Aliens is now available for pre-order. But with that out of the way, gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Great to see you. And yeah, Bill, it's a pleasure as always to see you.
Yeah, you guys looking good. Looking good. You got a big audience now. I love that. You're big time. I'm surprised you asked me to be on your show.
I would roll out the red carpet and crawl over broken glass to interview you anytime.
I'm right in the middle of an interview. Oh, they're fixing my window. I'm so
no worries.
Okay.
We'll do some editorial sniffing. I think when he's right in the middle of the interview, I'll do a hard cut and then we'll come back. But that's got to go in the show.
Yeah. I love it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I told him to come back in 75 minutes. So
Okay.
yeah, that should do it. Okay, I apologize.
We can cut it. Yeah.
No worries at all. I will snip out the dead space. But yeah,
It was
but the
a
last
nice
time we
intro.
saw you was at the School of Visual Arts screening for Slide. So how are things going with Slide?
That was a big success. A lot of people, packed house. They really loved it. They laughed a lot, which to me is the most important thing.
Sure.
And they applauded a lot. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, an awesome venue. I always love it when you have screenings there. The first time I saw the title sequence to Cheatin' was at the School of Visual Arts as well for one of your Scribble Junkies.
Oh wow!
Yes.
That's great. I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, let's dive into some hard-hitting journalism here.
Yes,
This is a special treat for me. I Married a Strange Person was the first feature film by you that I saw, and it's the movie that made me completely fall in love with your work. And I've got here one of the cells from I Married a Strange Person.
Oh yeah,
from back in the day, which I bought from you at Comic-Con many years ago.
Let me set that up. The plot of the film is about this guy who has the powers of, like an animator. Whenever he thinks of something, he can make it real. And so he was having sex with his girlfriend, and he's kind of a kinky imagination, and so he imagines her with all these strange costumes, like knights of armor, wearing that, and cheerleading outfits, and then this one here. So
and the Easter Bunny and
the Easter Bunny. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good one. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, here we got the cheerleader here.
Fantastic, nice.
The cheerleader.
We need to do like a temporary exhibit at the moment with my cell and your cell side by side.
Yeah, I love that.
So for people who don't know, after the Toon, while you were still making animated shorts throughout the 90s, you did have a period in live action. What was it about I Married a Strange Person where you realized, all right, I've got an idea, I've got a story, I'm ready to come back to the world of feature film animation?
Well, it's the whole concept of when you're an animator, you make these worlds appear, you make these magical worlds come out of my imagination. And so I thought it'd be funny to do a film about a guy who, for some reason, actually it's the beginning of the film is how he gets his power, this magic powers. And it's all the problems that it causes with him and his wife, his girlfriend rather. And because he imagines her doing these crazy things and getting fat and getting wrinkles. And so every kind of paranoia there is, that's what happens.
So when you think back to the days of the late 1990s and how the technology has changed so much since from that period to now, what aspects of your craft from that period do you miss? And what aspects of your craft from that time do you not miss at all? Like, are you nostalgic for the late 90s, or you're like, oh, thank God we've evolved past it?
I miss nothing from the 90s. When I was starting out, I was really ignorant about how animation worked or how filmmaking worked. You know, the whole procedure of getting the film and which lab do you go to and where do you get the sound and can you use effects? Can you use voices? Where do you get the actors? It's very complex. Now, obviously, with the digital technology, all this stuff is gone. I remember when I was making I Married a Strange Person, about 90% of my budget was into technology of making the film, you know, the labs and the prints, the negatives, all these answer prints and check prints and all that garbage. Now, when I make a film, 90% goes to the artists and 10% goes to the technology. And thank God for that, because that's where the money should go, is in the artists, the creative side, and not the technical side. So I miss nothing about. I'm not like Tarantino. I'm happy to be out of that 35 millimeter. I mean, imagine lugging these big prints, four giant reels to a film festival, lugging those things around. They're very heavy, and it was a big pain in the butt.
Yeah, I think the process that you talk about, a lot of the people that will be buying these new Blu-ray editions may have not been alive when you made them. They're younger, right, and they're experiencing them for the first time, and they may not know anything about what a cell is, like you just showed. Yes. You know, how you drew on cells or painted them, and then how you had to shoot them with the animation crane. Can you just talk a little bit about just like that process that was so laborious? It was just slow and tedious, and I think people would like to hear that side.
Well, my cinematographer was John Donnelly, and he was a really great guy. He knows a lot about film and animation. He had a big camera stand, you know, a rostrum camera to shoot it, and it took him 6 months to shoot every frame. It's a lot of work, and he charged me about $50,000, maybe more than that, and that's more than I had. He let me pay later, but I did pay off, and now it's you just put it on a scanner, beep, that's it, and beep, beep. So I'm so happy that
and with
we're not using the camera.
With the drawing side, compare drawing or working on cells versus paper. What are the differences for you, and is one faster than the other?
Yeah, the cells are really slow. If you scratch it at all, you have to do it all over again. They're magnetic. All this dust is attracted to them if you wipe it the wrong way, and there's shadows, and it's just everything has to be perfect. So for me, a paper is lovely. It's very simple, and that's how I like it.
Great.
Now, Bill, I get very nostalgic about the indie film scene in the 1990s because that's when I was getting completely, totally obsessed with movies. But obviously, not everybody back then lived in New York or LA or Austin where they had access to like the IFC Center or the Film Forum and all these great indie theaters. Wind the clock back for us, just as an entrepreneur and as a producer and as a filmmaker at that time. Just help us kind of understand your thinking and your overall strategy as a filmmaker when it came to VHS, DVD, film, TV. Like, were you thinking, all right, my audience is VHS or my audience is DVD, or what was kind of your overall strategy or goal in terms of reaching the widest possible audience? Because whatever you did, it worked because that's how I discovered you.
Not necessarily, but sometimes it did work. But yeah, the dream is to get into Sundance. You've all been to Sundance, I'm sure. I heard
I was there for your Hair High screening. That's the first time I saw you in the flesh.
I remember. I don't necessarily want to win an award, but it's just such a hot spot. I mean, the audiences are packed. A lot of celebrities. Faye Dunaway wanted to be my friend and hang out with me. And
nice.
I was at this lunch party for filmmakers, and the producers were not invited. The actors weren't invited, just the filmmakers. And I remember sitting by on the side with a drink, and this nerdy guy comes up to me and says, "Oh God, Bill Plympton, how did you make that your face? Who was the model, and how many frames did you use?" He really knew everything about it. And so I said, "Oh, you're really into animation. What's your name?" He said, "Oh, I'm Quentin Tarantino. I'm here with Reservoir Dogs." And I went, "Oh, okay, good. I'll see you later."
Well, speaking of your face.
Yeah, and then when they showed the film, obviously, oh yeah, your
Boom.
face is
Yeah,
like
absolutely. This is another one of my prized possessions.
And then after he showed Reservoir Dogs, of course, I couldn't get near the guy, but we became friends. And in fact, a little bit of trivia: if you ever see a film Kill Bill, the beginning of the film when they're in the chapel and they're going to get married and they get attacked by David Carradine. The guy that Uma was marrying was Mr. Plympton. And so I asked him, I said, "Quentin, where'd you get that name, Plympton?" He said, "That's you, dude. You're Mr. Plympton."
I love it.
Next time you see it, you know where that name came from.
And you worked with David Carradine on Hair High. So,
I
right?
did.
It was one of the voices, I think.
Tarantino?
No, David Carradine.
Oh, David Carradine. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
David and Keith and Martha Plimpton and God, a lot of really great actors.
That was a star-studded cast of all.
Well, Martha Plimpton got them together. She worked with them all, and she had seen my film, and she really liked it. So we were friends.
Yeah.
We met at actually family reunions a long time ago, and so she started bringing these actors in, and I just, whoa, this is fantastic. So
That's great.
Hair High is a beautiful film. It's one of my favorites, and I think that'll be coming out probably in the fall. If we can arrange it with Deaf Crocodile.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of Deaf Crocodile, let's show the brand spanking new, fully restored trailer they put together for I Married a Strange Person, and then we can dive into a few more details.
Okay.
How'd you get to be so cute? Did you buy it like a suit? Were you hopping,
Shopping,
bopping,
mopping.
were you spending lots of
Hey! I'm trying to sleep here.
How'd you get so cute?
Go away, Grant. You're a very strange person.
Did you pop out on the spot? Or did you sew it,
Mow it,
blow it,
show it.
grow it? Ooh, like a crop. How'd you get so hot? And the beauty that is you. Oh, I love it so. I'm lost in your dream world. That's why I want to know.
Get me that man.
Some army is trying to kill me.
Wow, nice trailer. That's the first time I've seen that.
Oh, it's Craig Rogers. Yeah, he's a miracle worker behind the scenes.
I want to see that movie.
Yeah,
I want
no.
to buy that movie.
Yeah.
I've already pre-ordered it. So Adam and I got
one little bit about the movie, if I could.
Oh, by all means.
It was handled by October Films. They bought it in. Well, they didn't buy it, but they acquired it in Sundance. And when we showed it to Blockbuster, they wanted to edit it out because they thought it was too much sex.
Too racy.
Yeah, too racy.
Yeah.
And nothing I could do about it, because Blockbuster, that's where you make all your money. So I said, yeah, go ahead. And I think we updated it. We put the sex scenes back in after Blockbuster went
Yeah, I did
down.
a compare and contrast before we did the commentary a few months back where I had the unrated version and the censored version. And the big scene that was a source of controversy was the helicopter shot, the when she's yeehaw and she's spinning around. Fantastic shot, but it's all been lovingly fully restored.
Yeah. The inspiration for this was at the time there's a lot of films, animated films from Japan that were very outrageously sexy. Like these girls swallowing a giant lizard and things like that. And I thought, America should be making films like this, but
Totally.
with a sense of humor. So
Yeah.
that's why that was my inspiration for.
You took on that responsibility.
I did. Yeah.
Well, after you and I first started getting involved on Cheatin', and people were looking at me sideways for getting invested with a crazy animator, what I would do to persuade them that I was not losing my mind, I would show them the scene from A Married a Strange Person. The song begins. It's like,
Yeah.
would you love me if I forgot your birthday? Threw your shoes a little bit. Let's talk about the music, because the music in your movies is just iconic, whether it's the tune or I Married a Strange Person. What can you tell us about the composition of the score and the songs for I Married a Strange Person?
Well, Maureen McKellarn is an old friend of mine. I met her on Bleecker Street. She was at a club doing music there, and I knew her friend, and so I said, introduce me to Maureen McKellarn. She's a wonderful folk singer and country singer. She also writes country songs. And so we became friends, and I would follow her around to her shows. And then when I started doing animation, the first film was Your Face. I said, we need a song, Maureen. Can you write a song for this little piece? And she wrote it. It's a beautiful song, very haunting, really gorgeous lyrics. But I didn't like it because it was too good. I wanted it to be a bad, cheap, cornball song that from the 30s. And so she rewrote it, and it was perfect. And I've been using her ever since. Also, I was too cheap to hire a male singer because it's sung by this guy, and so I slowed her voice down. And your face is like, it sounds like a drunk guy,
It works. It really works.
Yeah.
So what about the music for I Married a Strange Person? Who wrote the song that I love, where you get into this wonderful montage where he's basically explaining all these hypothetical scenarios about, putting a rock in her hose or throwing out her shoes and all that stuff. Is that Maureen and you all over again?
Maureen and myself and Hank Bones. We got to give credit to Hank Bones. He's the guitarist. He's a whiz. He plays all the instruments, which is good for my budget. And he just has a great sense of humor and a great talent.
And a real virtuoso who can play multiple instruments.
That's right. Yeah, he even plays violin, I think. He plays harmonica, you name it, he'll play it.
Now, what about the cast in I Married a Strange Person? We heard your voice in the trailer when that person's ears are being pulled out. You appear periodically. A lot of the cast, sadly, they're no longer with us. But when it comes to your direction of actors, we are asking John about this and like how he was directed for certain scenes in the movies. How do you go about directing voice actors when it comes to getting multiple takes or multiple interpretations of scenes? Just open up that door for us.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how other people do it. I just do it my way. And basically I try and hint at what I want. Unfortunately, I can't use a lot of experimentation or free-form kind of voices. It really has to match my visuals, because at that point the visuals are done. So if you're smiling on the film, we got to have a happy look or sound from the singer. So that's it. And I don't do a lot of takes, maybe 3 takes, 4 takes of a song, and I'm happy. I like it loose and kind of edgy. If I make a mistake, I'll leave it in there sometimes. So it's pretty.
So I know a lot of times in bigger budget sort of Hollywood animated films, voices are recorded years in advance and they kind of animate to that. So you kind of do the opposite, is what you're saying. You animate and then maybe you have a scratch track or something, right?
Yeah.
Like that you work with.
Yeah, I do it Italian style.
Yeah,
like those.
Leone would approve.
Clint Eastwood movies.
Right.
So the actor has to match the tempo of the movie, which is okay. But I really want to concentrate on the visuals. That to me is the most important part. And then once I get that down, then the actors can match it. And I try to keep a minimum of dialogue. I really don't like a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because I want people to concentrate on what's going on visually. And there's not a lot of verbal humor in my film, although the new one, Slide, has some verbal humor. Mostly it's just straight arrow, and then the visuals are what go crazy.
Although you do have some wicked, barbed satire in I Married a Strange Person that may or may not have something to do with a company that temporarily tried to recruit you back in the early 90s.
Oh, right.
It's Smile Corp.
Yeah, Spot. And they got a little symbolic character who sort of guides you around Smile Corp. Yeah, it's very dark. I think that's one of the reasons the film was so popular in France. They loved me making fun of Disney and all the movie industry here in the U.S. So that was it was fun for me to do. I mean, I grew up with Disney. I love Disney films. I love Mickey Mouse. I was drawing Mickey Mouse all the time, and Goofy. I love Goofy. So it's sort of part of my background.
Well, Adam, any questions about the special features on the Blu-ray?
Yeah. So if the film itself wasn't enough of a reason to go out and pre-order or purchase these films, the bonus features are just incredible. For the first one, for I Married a Strange Person, we have 2 shorts. The first is Guard Dog from 2006, which Craig Rogers was able to get the original negative. It was actually lost. It was stuck in a vault in Camarillo that used to be owned by Technicolor, and we were able to find it, have it transferred.
Really?
And
wow.
He did a new scan, 4K scan of the negative, and now the negative is living where it should be with the Academy Film Archive forever to be preserved. But so this will be the first time anyone will ever have seen this dog film, Guide Dog, in full 2K resolution on Blu-ray. So that's a great bonus feature. And we have The Loneliest Stoplight, which of course James and I produced with you. So we have two great. And that has the voice talents of Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah,
he was so good. He did it in one take. Unbelievable.
It's amazing. And he wrote an introduction for the Blu-ray booklet that comes with the limited edition. So if people don't know, there's 2 versions of this film coming out. There's a deluxe limited edition, which comes in like a box, a hard box with a booklet with all types of film essays about you, Bill, about this film. And that's only available in this deluxe limited edition, which is 1,000 units, and that's it. So if you want that, you better order it now to get your copy. And then, of course, there's a standard edition, which is the movie with all the bonus features that you can order, which is a little cheaper. And that one's also available to order. So if you like collectible editions, though, definitely pick up that deluxe version.
I heard there was a 40-page booklet or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell do they do for 40 pages?
People love you, Bill.
You've been doing this for 40 years, so I think it's for a year, you know.
I'm dying to see it. I haven't seen it yet. He said it's in the mail, but
I haven't seen it either. But I know that there's an essay by Jerry Beck. There's one by Chris Miller, who did the Lego Movie and was one of your interns, of course, many years back. As I said, Patton Oswalt. And I think there's Walter Chaw as a film critic and author. He wrote something for it. And David B. Levy, who's an animation historian. So it's going to be packed with stuff that you can sit and read while you're after you've done, finished watching the film. Yeah.
Well, I do have a story about the film that I like to tell when I'm doing my presentations. The film premiered at Sundance, and I think I was one of the first animated features to be in Sundance. And I was so excited. I thought, oh, this is where all the big time people go. They'd already had Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and that was a big success. And so I thought I could cash in. And the audience loved the film. They were applauding, and they just standing ovation. But nobody was picking it up. No distributor was interested in the film. I don't know why. Maybe because it wasn't for kids. It was animation for adults. Anyway, I was on the bus. They have a bus in Sundance that goes around from different cinemas and also to different ski slopes. You can take a bus to the ski slope and then go to the cinema. And I saw the guy from Lionsgate Films. I've forgotten his name now, but he's a buddy of mine. And I said, oh, wow, I can talk to him. So I kind of slide over on the bus to him. And I say, hey, it's Bill. Do you remember me? And he said, yeah, how you doing, Bill? And I said, well, I got a film here It's called I Married a Strange Person. The audience loving it. I think you should look at it. He said, well, you know, Bill, I got a stack of films this high that I have to watch when I get home. I got way too many films. I just don't have time for it. I'm so sorry. And I was really bummed because, you know, he knew me. He was a buddy of mine. And just as I was walking away, the doors opened to the bus, and this 20-year-old snow glider. What do they call those?
Snowboarder. Yeah,
snowboarder. And he jumps on. He's got snow dripping down his face. He's got the woolen cap, you know, and he's got snow all over me. And he looks at me and says, "Dude, you're Bill Plympton. Whoa, I Married a Strange Person. That film rocks." Then he jumps off the bus and he goes down the hill, and that's the last I see of him.
I hope you managed to slide him a $20 bill as he made his escape.
And so the guy from Lionsgate looks at me and says, "You know, maybe I should look at your film." And I happen to have it, and I gave him a DVD. And he calls me back and says, "We want to buy it." And it was a big hit. And not only that, I got royalties, which I never get from Hollywood. I never get royalties. And so thanks to that snowboarder guy, whoever he is.
If you're out there listening.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Contact me. I'll give you some free DVDs.
Absolutely. Well, let's start to transition into the next film on deck, Mutant Aliens, which you have on display behind you. And I've got yet another trailer prepared by Craig Rogers. So we're going to let this sucker rip in 3,
Wonderful.
2, 1.
4, 3,
Camera roll.
2.
Where some very strange things have transpired. It seems the president was eaten by some kind of giant flying nose.
The first time I saw you sitting on the bar stool, your hands in your hands. For a minute I felt sorry for you, but I must confess, it cracked me up when you threw up on your girlfriend's dress. Yes, you have something wrong to look in the glow of the neon light, the firelight, yeah. You don't shine so bright.
Yes, Mutant Aliens.
You get some wicked flashbacks when you hear that song.
I do, yeah. That actually was not Maureen McKelleran. That was Amy Allison, who was one of my favorite singers, and she's the daughter of Mose Allison. You remember him, the jazz guy? And she was really great music.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I know you've got a few questions related to Mutant Aliens. Let her rip.
Oh, sure. Well, as James mentioned, his first entry point for him was I Married a Strange Person. And this was actually the first feature of yours that I saw. I had seen, of course, like so many people, your work on Liquid Television and shorts and things like that when I was younger. But this was the first feature that I was able to watch, and it just blew me away. And I'm a big sci-fi fan, especially of early 50s, 60s, you know, monster and alien invasion movies. So this it hit, you know, all the things that I love, animation, sci-fi. What, if any, of those films in this genre kind of inspired you to want to take this trip, you know, into sci-fi, you know, into sort of a because you really hadn't done that yet. You know, this is kind of your first foray into this genre. Yeah.
I like doing different genres, you know, like cowboys film or just crazy sex film, things like that. But the inspiration was a book called Geek Love.
Oh.
Did you ever hear about this book?
No, this is new.
Sounds
I like it.
scandalous.
Yeah.
A wonderful book, and it's I'm trying to think of the name of the writer. It'll come to me. But the basic concept was it's a circus troupe going around, and they were the freaks, the freaks of a circus, and this family. And in order to keep having kids that were freakish, they abused their diets. They took a lot of drugs. They just did a lot of crazy things to screw up with their hormones. And so every kid was a freak, was distorted. And then I got the idea of the U.S. putting all these rocket ships in space with dogs and monkeys and experimental animals. And what would happen if they got together and they themselves started interbreeding and making a whole family of mutants, mutant aliens, I call it. And then they come back to Earth and get their revenge for those fucking, rocket scientists who ruin their lives. And that was the concept. I thought it was a funny idea.
Yeah.
I never heard of it before, but that was the concept. And you can see behind, oops, there we go. Behind me, these are the mutant aliens. They're all mutated animals.
Well, I just found it. It's Geek Love. It was a 1989 novel by Catherine Dunn.
That's it. Catherine Dunn. She's another Portlander. I'm from Portland.
Nice. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to have to check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a good friend of mine. And when I read the book, I said, oh, what a great idea to mutate all your genes into weird shapes.
Well, as we were watching it and doing the commentary track, we were speculating about your knowledge of reproduction, because it seems like, at least in this movie, the astronaut just hurling himself into a pile of animals and just thrusting wildly. That's all it takes. It's like kind of the catalyst to get things going. But it seems like you were reinventing reproduction with every frame, with every cell that you painted, and we were
It's a cartoon. You can do anything you want with cartoons. That's why I'm a cartoonist and not a live action director.
That's right.
Now, with this movie, you took an unusual approach, or a different approach, where you did essentially a graphic novel before the movie. How did you get that idea?
Well, I have a lot of demand for my art, printed art. I did some cartoon books, just collections of my gag cartoons for National Lampoon and New Yorker and places like that.
Like Sloppy Seconds? Is that
Sloppy Seconds. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I thought, why not do a graphic novel? Because those were the real popular back then. And so I had my storyboard. It was right there. It's all done. So I just took my storyboard and make a good graphic novel out of it. It sold pretty well. It's still selling.
And did that speed up the process because you sort of had pre-storyboard of the entire film as a graphic novel? Did that help make the making of the film? Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. I should do it more often. But I'm really concentrated on finishing the film, and so a lot of my energy is wasted on animation.
And you're always working on like music videos or couch and Simpsons or commercials. So you're always working on like 3 or 4 different things at once.
That's true. You got it. You can survive.
Yeah.
Another cool thing you did for this movie, though, which I think is just an absolute treasure trove, the behind the scenes featurettes that you shot at the time, which when you watch them now and you see the young Signa Bauman talking about herself as like the Rolls Royce of colorists and things like that. Like anybody who's interested in animation or animation history or becoming an animator, if they watch these behind the scenes featurettes, they can really watch it from conception through release every step of the way. Was that a distraction, or how did you get that idea to create all these special features, more than 20 years ago?
Hold on one second. So can you get that camera thing that we had? We started over there. Yeah, Anacam. Have you heard about my Anacam?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh yeah, I got it here. What I decided to do was, since people are interested on how I made animation, here it is. And this is my Anacam. And what I did was, I think it was for Mutant Aliens. Here's the camera here. And so I screwed it to my drawing board, and I just showed the drawing board. I didn't show my face or anything like that. Thank you so much. And so 24 hours a day, people could tune into my camera and see if I'm drawing. And basically, I drew a lot every day, you know, sometimes 6 in the morning till 8 at night. And people love to see the creation, the act of creation of making this film in front of your eyes. I stopped doing it because after a while, I started animating at home and not in the studio. And sometimes I just sit on the couch and do my animation. So the camera was still stuck to the drawing board. But I had a lot of fans, and people would call me or email me while they watch me and say, you know, what are you doing? That's a terrible drawing. You know,
that's a really novel idea. I mean, this is 25 years ago or more.
Yeah.
In the early days of the internet, for you to be sort of embracing this concept of like a live stream all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Long before Twitch, Bill was the first webcam girl.
Yeah, I just had to stop doing it. It just took too much time out of my schedule.
Well, it's good you did it, because now we have that, you know, the world has that forever. It's available.
Also, just seeing Bill on the street with like the mutant alien and like, you know, handing out DVDs and inviting people to screenings, just showing how it's not enough just to be a wonderful illustrator or an animator or a great storyteller. You got to get your feet on the pavement and market.
Boy, that's for sure.
And almost like a carnival barker, lure people in. Like, hey, you want to see some crazy animation? I mean, you're just cold calling total strangers out on the street.
Yeah, that's what I did. And one time it was mostly around the East Village, because that was most of my audience, the young East Village artists and people who live there. I remember I was out in front of a Korean grocer, and he was selling DVDs, and he had my film Mutant Aliens there. And I said, you know, this is pirated. This is not, I did not order this DVD, because it didn't look like the normal one at all. And so I said, I'm taking it. And he was really tough, and he grabbed my arm while I was taking the DVD back. Actually, it's a video cassette. Excuse me. It's a video cassette. And he yanked me back in the store trying to get the cassette back. And all of a sudden, a crowd sort of appeared, you know, the East Village. And I was saying, this guy's he's stealing, he's pirating my movie, he's taking my rights. And the audience goes, yeah. Then the police show up, and they try to, you know, calm down the mob, because it was a mob at one point, and they were pulling me out with my video cassette. And finally the cop came in, and he didn't pull his gun, but he said, you know, this has got to stop. Actually, the grocer has a right, even though it's pirated, you got to get a restraining order before you can do something like that. So nothing happened, but it shows the streets of New York are tough when you're trying to distribute a movie.
How did that not ever become a Bill Plympton short? I feel like that would have been a great subject for one of your shorts.
It was actually. I did it in what's that one? Mondo Plympton. I put a animated little story about it. And
cool.
But it's not that it's not really well drawn or anything. It's just a quick sketchy thing.
Well, when art starts to be pirated, that means you've truly made it, I think.
I took it. I accepted that like, wow, they really want to pirate my films.
Yeah, okay. That there's money to be made in pirating your movies. That's a good sign for you, even though you weren't getting any of the money. But it's I mean, it's this film. Again, it came out. It premiered at Sundance, also correct, in 2001.
Yep.
And what had changed in the distribution landscape between I Married a Strange Person like 4 years earlier and this? Like, obviously, the industry was switching from VHS to DVD, and the internet was starting to, you know, be a bigger thing.
It's a big change. Yeah.
How was it more challenging to get this film picked up, to just distributed? Tell us a little.
Well, it was, and maybe the film, maybe it's not my best film. There's some flaws in it, but
it might be your most outrageous.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a crazy film. Very crazy. The story that I remember the best was we premiered at the Egyptian. And then if you know the Egyptian, it's up on the top of the hill. It's very old cinema.
Yeah. I've been there many times. I love it.
Yeah. And Georgia Hilton, who did the sound, and she's wonderful. She's really professional. She worked really hard on it, and she didn't get a lot of money because she knew I was independent. and she put it together. And there was a snowstorm that night. I think it was 11 o'clock screening, 11 p.m. screening, and there was a blizzard that came in, and the heaters broke, so it was ice cold inside. And so the audience was only half full. It sold out, of course, previously, but for here, it was just the storm drove everybody away. And the film started playing, and the sound was awful. It was not mixed right, and it was really bad sound. And the applause was one of those things,
Yeah.
And I said, "That's death. I am dead," because these crazy things just came together and defeated me. And I said that had to be the worst screening of my life. Now, unfortunately, the film did get some good reviews. It was really a popular film, and people did like it a lot. But I think I could have done a lot better if the weather had been better and the sound was not screwed up. And Georgia apologized to me. She felt so bad because she worked so hard on this. But it was, I think, one of her first 5.1 sound projects. So that would have been the problem, because that was really early in that method.
Well, one of my favorite scenes from this movie by far is early on when Josie's up in her, working on her telescope and always looking for signs of her father, and her fiance comes to visit, and all he can think about is trying to get something going. But he's looking in his pants. And there's just like a montage of a hammer banging on an anvil or a chainsaw or a rampaging horse and carriage or
a jackhammer.
One symbolic Bill Plympton idea after another for the fully aroused male. But what it reminded me of in the behind the scenes featurette, you actually had one scene where you introduced the life-size hand-drawn Josie from the film in bed with you side by side. Whatever happened to the full life-size drawing of Josie from 1,000 years ago? Because if it's for sale, I'm buying.
Okay, it's around here somewhere. I was looking for it for a while, but it is a beautiful drawing, and I will look for it for you.
Fantastic. Next New York Comic Con, we got to put it on display to drive up some interest. And if anybody wants to outbid me, they're welcome to. But
okay, good.
I'm interested.
Okay,
I've got a little wall space left for the life size.
Was there any change in animation technique, style, materials from this and I Married a Strange Person?
Not really. It was sort of kind of realistic. Here's a promotion thing we did.
Oh yeah, so that is another reason to get the new deluxe limited edition. This is a brand new piece of artwork that Bill did for the slipcover case that you can only get with this deluxe limited edition if you pre-order it now.
And you can see them, the aliens here. They're really all weird. I mean, a pig with a giant sword coming out of his mouth. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I like it.
Just kind of.
Yeah. One of the things that I did, do I have artwork to show it here? The backgrounds are photos. Let me see if I can find it here.
It's like household items like Clorox bottles that you would paint over and things like that you would turn into space shuttles and things like that.
Well, you guys did your homework.
Once again, you did the homework 25 years ago, creating all those incredible behind-the-scenes documentaries.
I love this sequence here.
That's great.
Is that sideways? No, that's right. I'm trying to. The backgrounds were photographs of. Oh wait, here they are. Here we are. Like on the moon and stuff. Photographs of just landscapes I made up. No, we don't have it here. But I would take a picture of it, a little 35 millimeter camera picture, and then make a black and white print like about this big, and then oil paint it on top, the colors. And for the moonscape, it worked really well because I could just put the little craters in there and little rocks that are around the ground. And it was much quicker than doing an original piece of art for the background. And also it looked very cool because it looked real. It looked like a real
Yeah.
What'd you call it? A bleach
Clorox bottle, things like that. Well,
Yeah.
because in your documentary you mentioned how there was a prop shop or a collectible shop nearby where you would go buy all sorts of strange items that you could then photograph and incorporate into your movies. Yeah, John didn't know the name of the shop, but it just seemed like it was a great, quick, and easy solution to flesh out your backgrounds on your films.
Yeah. That was what's it called? It's on Broadway. It's still around. So
Very cool.
I'll think of it.
Well, Adam, any final notes or questions before we let Bill go? And once again, I'll include a link down in the description below where people can pre-order Mutant Aliens, as well as where they can find I Married a Strange Person. And but Adam, any final questions before we let Bill get back to you?
Yeah, I'll just again to ensure we sell lots of Blu-rays to help support Bill and his continuing artistic ventures. This edition of Mutant Aliens, as I said, there's two editions. There's a deluxe edition that contains that new slipcover art, as well as another 60-page illustrated book, which has an introduction by Weird Al Yankovic.
Nice.
It has another essay by Walter Chaw and one by Stephen Peros. And it's just packed with imagery. It's going to be great. And of course, the actual Blu-ray disc contains two incredible Plympton shorts: Hot Dog, the third in Bill's dog series, and The Cow Who Wanted to Be a Hamburger.
Love that one.
Both in HD, of course.
Yeah.
And there's a interview with Bill, of course, with Dennis Bartok of Deaf Crocodile. And James and I did our own feature-length audio commentary with John, your longtime assistant. So it's a great package, and it's well worth the investment. So pre-order.
I have to tell you that Deaf Crocodile has really given my career a big boost, because now they never came out on DVD or video cassette as a big mass release.
Yeah.
And now I got all these fans now that I never had before. So it's really thanks to Deaf Crocodile for giving new life to my classic films. People are finally discovering Bill Plympton the way they should have when it came out.
And the irony too is that they are a physical media company, meaning they don't release most of their films digitally. They make these collectible disc releases, and most of the people buying them, a lot of them at least, are younger people who are discovering you. So I think there's sort of this pushback right now. Younger people want to listen to music on vinyl records. They want to collect DVDs and Blu-rays, and like there's sort of this push to get away from screens a little bit from the younger generation. So I think, and people also just want to have something on their shelf that they know will last forever. The definitive edition of your movie that no one can take away. It won't disappear from their streaming platform, and won't be edited or censored for content. So.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I'll tell one very brief story. We were recording the commentary track, and the movie froze, and I said shit, and I pressed stop on the recorder, and then we started the movie up again and kept recording. But I thought I was being very clever, just bridging the two audio tracks together, and we sent it to Craig. And a few weeks later, he's like, "Did something happen while you were recording? You suddenly say shit." And then it's like this awkward sounds like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I forgot to bring." Anyway, Craig luckily caught that little verbal.
Oh, you should have kept it in.
We had a one little mishap while recording the commentary.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the film. It was just a Vimeo technical issue. Playback issue.
On us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm dying to get the package. I'm so excited about it. I mean, all those people talking about it.
Well, Bill, you've been very generous with your time. Best of luck with all your current ongoing endeavors in the release of Slide. Best of luck with the release of these Blu-rays. It's been an honor working with you over the years, but also an honor getting to promote these Blu-rays and contribute the commentary tracks. You're one of a kind, and it's a great pleasure to be in your service.
I just want to add one thing for Bill, that if you're watching these movies and you're loving them and you love the art, Bill has a ton of original animation cells available to purchase, which he'll sign for you. So they can email the studio right at plymptoons.com, studio at plymptoons.com if they would like to purchase a specific cell. Usually you can if it's still available. You can look for it, and you can own and frame an original piece of art from one of these films.
And I will sign it for you and do whatever you need, because this artwork is no one does real artwork on paper anymore.
Right.
It's all digital, so there's nothing like it. It's like the real movie, like watching a real quick.
And you can pause the movie and find the actual frame that you own. Yeah.
Well, we hope you all have enjoyed today's conversation. Follow Bill online, buy some cells, buy some Blu-rays, and buy some tickets to his upcoming screenings of Slide. We can't thank you enough for listening. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. But more importantly, as always, onwards and up.
It ain't like it used to be, but it'll do.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.